So, tell me your name.
Sean Zerrusen.
Where and what year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 2016 from Effingham High School.
What sports did you play in high school?
I played soccer, basketball, ran track, and I played football as well for 1 year.
Talk about your high school sports career from freshman to senior.
It was interesting, the whole thing. At track, I was on varsity, or got a varsity letter my freshman year. I never would have thought that I would have played football. Soccer was always interesting. Soccer was fun because I played with two of my cousins, Michael and Alex Carey both, and so they were always there, kind of showing me the way. And Alex was really big into soccer, so he showed a lot. Michael was fun to play with, just being an older cousin, teaching me stuff that I needed to do, things that I can work on. Same as basketball, he was always there for basketball too. I've always played with him, and football, I was just the kicker, so I didn't do much.
Talk a little about your the teammates and coaches you had.
I had some interesting coaches. I had Aaron Widges for soccer. Never played soccer, but he was one of my favorite coaches. Just he was always trying to be a good coach. He would call us into his room and ask us about workouts and drills, so he could give us the best chance to be a good team, and he would support us as best he could. Coach Reed was a hell of a coach. I will say that. Some people disagree, but playing for him for 3 years, looking back now, there's a lot of things that he did that I would stay with and I would do if I became a coach. And he genuinely, I think he is a good person, and he just all around he was a good coach.
Talk a little about the teams and players that you played in high school.
Basketball wise, I played defense, and I will tell anybody that's the only reason I started for 2 years was because I could play defense. And that is where I remember a lot of my memories from. There was a kid from Mount Vernon. I don't know if you remember him.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, there you go. Fitzpatrick. Fitzgerald.
Oh, my bad.
Fitzgerald.
Braden yeah. I had to guard him too. He was my age, and I had to guard him 2 years in a row. And seeing him come just right across half court and just shoot a three in your face and consistently, that's kind of a dagger every time he did that. So that was always interesting. I guarded a kid that he played at SEMO. He went on and played at SEMO. There was quite a few kids that I had to guard that went on and played, and those were always fun to do.
What were your favorite, as far as since you did you football and track, as far as those, what were your favorite fields and or et cetera that you played at?
I would honestly have to say track was one of the most energetic times when it went dark and the lights were on the track. There wasn't anything that really compared to it. Just everybody yelling and going nuts, and it's just you're the only person out there that can control what happens, and it was probably the most entertaining part.
So add any stories during your high school career as far as your fondest memories and awards.
I'll do a track one because Mom always likes this one. I remember I ran the 400 at Newton, and it was my freshman year, I believe. I ran a 53, and I was upset, because I knew I could do better than that. So my parents went and asked the coaches, the track coach, Harbaugh and Joe Fothery helped my freshman year or sophomore year, and they said, "Well, we'll run him in the 800," and I immediately looked at my parents and said, "I quit." That was the first words that came out of my mouth. I said, "No, I don't even like one lap. Why would I like to do two?" So they said, "No, you're doing it." Well, I ended up doing that, and later on it worked out for me in the end, and still never appreciated having to run 2 laps because of them.
Where did you attend college at, and who recruited you?
I attended college at Western Illinois University. I received a letter from them in the past, and I never really thought anything about track, running in college. It wasn't really something I wanted to do, and I actually remember it. I was standing at the national anthem in Taylorville, and I said, you know what, I'm going to run track. So I emailed the coach at Western a couple weeks later, and then Mom took me up there for a visit, and that's where I went.
At college, talk about your career, including teammates and coaches.
The teammates, it's different when you go to college. The teammates are more of a family, and it didn't matter what sport you were in. I mean, you had the seniors that lived in their own houses that kind of took the freshmen and said, hey, if you need a place to come, stay, you need somebody to talk to, I have my house. So the teammates were always a lot closer, and they were just, it was more of a family aspect than, oh, we're friends. And that was always nice to know that I had that around me the whole time, and the support, even from the upperclassmen, was always nice.
Talk about the teams and the players that you played against.
Running in college, I didn't really run. I ran one time, but there actually was a kid that I ran against in high school at state who I ran against again in college, who he ran for Augustana, and me running at Western. He came to Western for our meet, and we ended up running against each other, and then he came up and talked to me at the end, and we were like, oh wow, we didn't even know that we were running against each other at the time.
Name some of the favorite facilities in which you've ran.
Which I ran. Easterns was always nice. I mean, just given that it was at state. But really, track is, if you don't know track is a whole different dynamic. It's a whole different sport in general. I mean, it is just you doing it. And I felt it didn't matter what track I was on. Coming around that last 200, it was just you. You had tunnel vision, just straight down, and any track it was that way, and it was always nice. But Newton was usually, for some reason, Newton was always nice to run at.
So talk about stories in college that you remember, fondest memories and awards.
I didn't really get very many awards. I got a couple for track, but I guess overall award would be winning state. My senior year was probably the biggest one. Just being up there on the podium, everybody staring at you, people hollering, mom and dad over there cheering and everything like that. And honestly, just the amount of time it takes to go through that at state, because there's so many people. I was just ready to get out of there and go see my family and go talk to them. And, I had to sit there for 45 minutes and wait for them to be able to announce everybody and go throughout that. So it wasn't as fun, but that was probably the highlight, the memory.
At what age did you become interested in sports?
After hearing from the other two, I would assume pretty young. I couldn't be specific. I know when I was younger, it was actually your uncle nicknamed me Clyde because I ran like a monkey, I guess. Stiff as could be and just goofy from all get out. And he nicknamed me Clyde, and ever since then, every time I see him, he just calls me that. So I would say ever since I could walk, I was doing some sort of anything with sports. So
since you ran track and played football, how was the game of that, running and playing football, changed?
Running is running. Nobody enjoys it. Yeah, but running doesn't change. Kind of the things you do to be a runner change. The way you do a workout obviously changes. My senior year, I didn't run at track practice once. I never once went on the track and ran. I would go and swim. And that was a lot better of a workout than just running on the track for me personally. But, it hasn't changed much. In football, like I said, I was just the kicker. So I mean, it was definitely fun. It was an experience that I would do again any day. But kicking doesn't change much.
What advice would you give to today's youth about playing sports?
Enjoy it. It's over. Everybody always says it's over before you know it, and you don't really believe them, but it does. I mean, it's here and gone before you realize it's gone. And make sure when you graduate, don't regret anything. Do everything you can possible to not have any regrets.
What has the sports done to change your life?
They've given me a purpose, to work. Like Mom was saying, mental strength was a big one, especially for track being an individual sport. The team aspect of it, people always want others that work well together, and sports is a team thing. You have to work with them. So I'd say that just working with people would be the best thing.
Sean, thank you for your time.
Thank you.